we just wipe that part out, otherwise objectionable, and included something like unlawful instead? The verdict is in. Andy McCarthy's a genius. All right, so I teased this story yesterday. The Justice Department is finally fighting back against the tech tyrants at Google for being tech tyrants. So, story yesterday in National Review, the Department of Justice has filed an antitrust lawsuit against Google. Listen, I'm not going to get into the wonkery of it. It involves a lot of things. Google's partnership with Apple on search, sending search their way, profit sharing and stuff like that. It's a very complicated lawsuit. Just know this, it's absolutely time someone took on Google. Now, Google owns YouTube. YouTube has targeted our material for a long time for demonetization and elsewhere. I am involved financially with the biggest YouTube competitor out there, a company by the name of Rumble. You can watch my videos on Rumble at rumble.com/Bongino. I encourage you always to do so over YouTube because we shouldn't be financing our enemies who want to destroy us all the time. So as an example of what Google does for search, I showed a screenshot of my own phone, interestingly enough, a few weeks ago. Again, Rumble is the primary competitor to YouTube, a company, again, I'm involved with financially. And I took a screenshot on my phone of search on Google for Rumble dog videos. We have dog videos on Rumble. Everybody has dogs. The simplest thing we could think of. And it was fascinating. What came up, you'd think you would get, Joe, just said, again, a crazy question here. I mean, I know this is out there for you. So put that thinking cap on, to quote Miss Gilfeather here. Okay. If you were to put in a Google search engine, Rumble dog videos, you would think you would get dog videos from Rumble, right? I know that's crazy.
Most likely. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Right. No, you won't.
Yeah.
Of course, you'll get dog videos from YouTube. Yeah. I sometimes don't know if he's serious. Yeah, because it sounds so obvious. Rumble dog, you get dog videos from. No, you won't. You'll get dog videos from YouTube. You know what's really fascinating? Ever since I did that show and showed you the scam Google pulls with search, where they won't let you access Rumble dog videos by Googling Rumble dog videos, they send you to YouTube instead. It's changed, which is really weird. So we'll see how that DOJ lawsuit turns out against Google. It's probably not going to be good. I don't know. We'll see. But I wanted to get to this too. Another piece of National Review by the great Andy McCarthy, who really does terrific work. Andy has a piece up about the infamous now Section 230. This piece is it's a must read. It's in my show notes today. Again, Bongino.com/newsletter. Please read this. It's it's long, but it is really worth your time if you want to understand how to put a stop to Twitter's game playing on censorship. That's the title of the piece. He talks it's wonky, but understandable. He gives you the legal way Twitter gets around censoring content from conservatives, which we know they did. They blocked an article about Hunter Biden that's turning out, it looks like, to be largely true. How they get around it without being sued. And the way they get around it is by Section 230 of the Communication Decency Act, which allows, as I said yesterday, companies like Twitter to declare that they are platforms, not publishers. In other words, we're not the Washington Post. You can't sue us. We're Twitter. We're a platform, not a publisher, which the Washington Post is. Anyone can sue the Washington Post if they think they've been defamed. But Twitter's saying you can't sue us if someone tweets something defamatory about you. You know, Joe Armacost has bad hair. That is definitely defamatory. If someone put huge, Joe would win that case hands down. All he's got to do is show up at court with his hair. Armacost cannot sue Twitter over that. Now, he can sue the person who tweeted it, but Twitter's take on it is just, I don't need to keep hammering this, but it's super important you understand the distinction. Twitter's going to say, no, we're a platform. We don't control that. We're not a publisher. Some of you are probably saying, well, that's kind of weird because Twitter, if they're claiming we're not making publication decisions, then why are we making anti-publication decisions? Like not publishing an article by the New York Post about Hunter. Isn't that an editorial publication decision? If you're an independent platform, then how does Twitter get to block access to an an article on their platform? I thought they weren't making publication decisions. How do they do that? Well, they do it through this Section 230. Andy has a piece up where he explains that there's a part of Section 230 that allows Twitter to remove material that they deem otherwise objectionable. Let me read this and I'll explain it to you. Here's a quote from Andy's piece. Congress's inclusion of a term, they're talking about in 230, as literally broad as otherwise objectionable invites mischief. A platform such as Twitter could use that term to claim it believed Congress was greenlighting the suppression of political speech that social media platforms found objectionable. I'll translate this in a minute. Of course, that was most certainly not the purpose of Section 230, and Twitter knows this. That is why, in Andy's opinion, Twitter's pretending that it suppressed the Biden story in the New York Post because of concerns about hacking in order to be a good Samaritan that discourages cyber theft, rather than admitting that it did so to protect its preferred candidate. What is he saying there? That Section 230, even though you're a platform, all right? Twitter's saying we're a platform. We're an independent computer service here. We're a platform. It does allow them to remove material and not classify themselves as a publisher so they can't be sued if it meets lewd, lascivious, porn, that kind of stuff. Or, this is important, this is in the law, this is how Twitter screws you over, or, quote, otherwise objectionable material. Folks, that law could not have been written any worse. Because, Joe, what is Twitter saying? Oh, no, the New York Post story, Joe, is otherwise objectionable because it could have involved hacking of Hunter Biden's computer. Right. Totally false. I mean, there's no evidence that's true at all. Mm-hmm. But the term is written so broadly that Twitter feels safe enough to do it and say, safe harbor, we're otherwise objectionable. We found it objectionable. End of story. Andy has an interesting proposal. Fascinating. That maybe we should rewrite that law, get rid of otherwise objectionable, which, Joe, we both agree, right, gives broad latitude.
Oh,
Twitter will probably win that case. They'll just say, no, we found it objectionable. And they'll make up a reason. No, we thought it was hacking. You did? It's not hacking. Yeah, but we thought it was. We don't want to promote hacking. Otherwise, if we find hacking objectionable. Honestly, you'd probably lose that case against Twitter. McCarthy's suggestion is brilliant. What if we just wiped that part out, otherwise objectionable, and included something like unlawful instead? The verdict is in. Andy McCarthy's a genius. What if now, in order for you to take that material down as Twitter, I'm not suggesting I support or don't support. I'm just putting this out there because it's interesting mind nuggets here to think about. What if otherwise objectionable it was replaced by a concrete term like unlawful? Now, all of a sudden, if Twitter decides to delete the New York Post expose on the Biden crime family and someone sues under 230 saying, hey, you're not a platform, you're a publisher now, they can't come back and say, no, we found it objectionable. No, that's not the law anymore. The law is what's unlawful about this piece. Oh, unlawful. Oh, we forgot. We thought it was still the old objectionable thingy. Yeah. No, we changed that. You see how that would pin them down? Twitter would then be forced in court to not give an objective term like otherwise objectionable a definition, which they can in court. We just didn't like it. We didn't want to promote how we found it objectionable. You'd lose. Now they'd be forced to prove what in fact was unlawful, which they can't. Because there's nothing about the piece that's unlawful and nothing in the piece that indicates any laws were broken. Interesting, no?
You just heard Dan Bongino.